welcome back, everybody. This is Girls Only Sports. This is your special episode as we review or preview the 2025 OHSAA Girls State Championships. You heard it. It is no longer a Final Four. We have championship weekend. It is coming up soon. The games will be played on March 14th and 15th. Once again, I am Candace Allen from Girls Only Sports, and that is Angie Sater from Prep Girls Hoops. Our good friend Tanisha Benson Worldwide couldn't be with us today, but she sends her congratulations and good lucks to all the teams. You know, she's busy. But thank you for once again joining watching your favorite girls and women's show. And hopefully you can get some good information about the team, some of the players, and expectations about what we hope to be is a awesome weekend down in Dayton for the Girls State Championship. So we're not going to waste any more time. We're going to get into it. We're going to go through it as quickly as possible. As most of you in Ohio already know, there are 7 divisions this year. No longer the Final Four. It's just all state finals this weekend. So we're going to get through all 7 divisions. And we're going to start by, I'm going to go through the teams in the order in which the game will be played. So I'll read off the teams as well as their date and their time so everybody can be prepared when each of your teams and divisions play. So, Angie, starting off, we have our Division III state championship. It will be held this Friday at 1 p.m. Once again, all the games will be played at the University of Dayton Arena. We have Avon Lake, who are 23-5 on the season, versus a 3-time state champion, 3 straight state championships, Cincinnati Purcell Marion, who are 22-6 on the season. I'm going to toss it over to you of this
All
first
right.
Division III matchup, Avon Lake versus Cincinnati Purcell Marion.
All right. And hey, like you just got done saying, like there's a lot of teams and a lot of divisions. And so I'm going to be flipping through my notes because they are all over my computer screen right now. So, but it's just going to be okay. Um, but let's start out with Avon Lake for a moment.
For
And
sure.
uh, so I am the type of coach, as I have coached this game before, where I'm not only looking at my like leading scorers or leading rebounders, but I'm looking at those kids that maybe they score two or three buckets a game.
Right.
I think that those are the type of players that are going to be like key
Mm-hmm.
in these big matchups. And really I could say that like across the board. In pretty much all of the games
Right.
that we're going to be seeing this weekend. But obviously, we really want to keep our eyes on Olivia Miller
Mm-hmm.
for Avon Lake, and like I said, there is some balanced scoring that they have with this team. You know, you've got like 2 or 3 players that are averaging 5-6 points or so a game, and and I think that those are the kind of ballers that they may need to step up and
Right.
knock down a few more shots.
Right.
But at this point, this is anybody's game for
Right.
any team.
Right.
And I mean, when you're looking at their records, like Avon Lake's 23-5, I, Purcell Marion's 22-6.
Right.
And we're looking at some of the other divisions too. I mean, these teams know what it takes to win.
And
The
that's
end.
the thing. Yeah, and absolutely right is that they prepare their seasons to get exactly to this point. Both of these teams have played pretty intense schedules. Avon Lake played a couple of D1 schools this year. They got a win over Magnificat, who was a Division One state semifinalist. They were also able to, in the tournament, avenge some losses early in the season. They lost big to Brush in January, only to turn
Yeah.
around during tournament time and able to pull out a 4-point win. So this, like you said, enough said, that is a battle-tested
Oh,
team and did everything that they could to get to this point. And then now over to a team that could potentially make some history. It's history in anything to get a three-peat, but it's a
absolutely.
different kind of statue that you should be able to receive if your team, especially their core, to potentially run off 4 straight state championships. We all know, once again, Miss Basketball finalist, but 2-time Miss Basketball D. Alexander, obviously the Miller twins, Trinity
Mm,
Small. Like they have players all over the floor that are just used to
right.
this. So, from your vantage point, what would Avon Lake need to do in order to stop this juggernaut of a program?
I think you try to slow the game down. I think you try, and I am not saying, because I am not a proponent of like
Yeah, no,
playing
no
four
holding the ball.
quarter.
I've seen
I,
that.
I can't, like most of y'all know like what I'm like in those situations, and I'm not like that. But what I am saying is, unless if you've got a true like, oh my, like no one is in front of me and I am ultra quick, okay, fine. I'll take the rock to the basket. I'll
Right.
take it. Otherwise, though, I do not want to get in a running match with Purcell Marion. I don't want that, because the Miller girls are just a different kind of speed. D. Alexander can come out of nowhere. I mean, Samaya Wilkins, like they just know how to click. They just I feel like they've all known each other, like they've grown
Mhm.
and they've matured and they have played together for a long time. So
Yeah.
they know each other's moves very well, but you can't turn the ball over.
Mhm.
And I would say slow it down and really work on your higher percentage shots.
Mhm. Well, in
Yeah.
this matchup, we potentially have one of the biggest upsets in state basketball history, or we have history being made in Avon Lake being able to capture a title, or Purcell Marion to capture their fourth straight state championship, which is wild. Every time I say it, it's
Yep.
just ridiculous what they've been able to do. But just congratulations to them, real quick, on Purcell to being able to maintain that kind of pedigree all these years. It's not easy, and I'm pretty sure the expectation, all the pressure, everything that comes with it has been a lot, and they've handled it. And seeing them from being freshmen and all the way up to their senior year, especially that core, to be able to do this. Just a testament and salute to them and Coach Mosley and their coaching staff for being able to even get to this point. But that
Absolutely.
championship game will take place on Friday at the University of Dayton Arena at 1 p.m. That will be our first state final. And then moving along to Division 4. That state final, once again, all these games will be played on Friday, March 14th. Bellevue 27-1 versus Kettering Archbishop Alter 19-8. That state final will tip off at 4:15. We got a Bellevue team, only one loss, versus
Mm.
again another one of these programs that come March, Alter, who is just always there.
Right, right. And so Bellevue, I think that I watched them, if I am remembering correctly. I think I watched this team over the summer, this past summer, and was wowed by them. They've got a junior 6'3" forward, Caitlin Ternisky,
Mm-hmm.
that her footwork and just how she just lays the ball in. She's special. The girl is special. And so you've got her, and then you've got Haley Reese. This is senior guard that, I mean, she's just a phenomenal outside shooter and that just plays with grit. And I think these two are, you know, they're going to show up
Right.
and they're going to play. They're going to play. But again, you're going to be looking for who else from who else is going to show up and maybe make those couple extra baskets or come up with a few few steals that turn into transition buckets. It's
Mm-hmm.
going to be those little things that, like, you can look at a lot of games that, especially if it's close, that you're like, oof, if only that play could have
Right.
turned this way.
Right.
And there's been some close games
Mm-hmm.
here this past weekend. So, but yeah,
Yep, and they'll
Bellevue's
take
tough.
on a Kettering Aldrich team who, what, 3 years ago was able to capture a state title. I believe they have one player on their team who happens to be an extraordinarily significant player, Maddie Moody,
Oh,
who is already a state champion and looking to close out her career to bookends as another. Capturing another state championship. So, could you speak a little about Alter and just that it's just the program. Some of these teams are just always
they
here.
they're just they always find a way to get here.
Mm-hmm.
And the coaches are just, again, a phenomenal coaching staff for Alter. And um but yeah, Maddie Moody. I mean, watching her this past Saturday at Ohio Dominican,
Hmm.
I mean, she just dominated.
Hmm.
Um, she just dominated the game, and I mean, I felt like the first half she had the majority of the points. I might be off on that, but
Hmm.
it felt like she certainly, um, if she wasn't doing that, she was rebounding the
Hmm.
rock. And but again, this is a team that just they know how to they know each other. They know who's going to be making the cuts and the turns and the pick and rolls, and they jive very well off of each other. So I think again, it's going to be a matter of like who's turning the ball over less,
Right.
and and looking again for some of those players that you
Those
know,
unsung players yeah,
yes,
and that's always a standard question is who is that player who's not going to show up a lot on the score sheet or the stat sheet,
yeah,
who's going to get on the floor, get the loose balls, do all the dirty work, because you expect in championship games for the big players to come out and perform,
yes, like
especially your
you know Moody's
seniors.
going to be ready,
Yeah.
like so. Oh, okay, check.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like
But
limit them, but who's the other players who are going to step up, who can turn whether or not you walk away
right,
as a state championship.
right, exactly. So but should be a good game.
Yep.
I think it'll be a good game. So
We
yep.
got a one loss Bellevue team taking on once again the just successful and dominant program down there at Kettering Alter, 19-8 on the season. That is Division 4 state final. Again, that tips off at 4:15 p.m. And then the last game to be played on Friday is the Division 2 state final. That will be White House Anthony Wayne, who is 24-2 versus Cincinnati Witten Woods, who are undefeated, trying to run the table this season. That state final will tip off at 7:30 p.m. Anthony Wayne, I think you start off with two sisters who are headed to Villanova, who are like, listen, we're trying to walk out of our high school careers with a state championship. The
Right.
Bender twins.
Uh, and again, I feel like that this team is full of just sisters, twins, you name it.
Right.
Like if your name is a Bender or
Right.
a Pike, I just I don't know. I feel
Keep it all in
they're
the
all
family.
related. They're all related. So gosh, I think there's even a hill. Are there hills too? I think I don't know. They all just have like the same names and stuff. So, but again, just a very well seasoned team.
Hmm.
And yeah, the Bender girls are just they're just unique players, and they've been so fun to watch
Yes.
over the course of their high school career. But yeah, I mean, you've got one that's averaging, you know, around 24 a game. You've got another one that's averaging around 16 or so, and both can rebound. Like it's just, they're they just complement each other so well. But I love Leah Pike.
Hmm.
I love what she does. She has just beautiful court vision as well. I love her passing. Sophie Smith. I just yeah, they all know their roles.
Yes.
And that's why a
Yes.
lot of these teams, not only is it just their talent, but it's
Hmm.
just they know what their role is.
Hmm.
And if you stick to that plan, you know, quite often it will turn out to be good.
Right, for
So,
sure. And seeing them play this weekend, they are one of those teams as well who looks to be on a mission. Not saying that any other team wouldn't be,
mhm,
but it's when they step on the court. They were facing really tough, well coached Olmsted Falls teams, but it's like we have a goal this season, and this is just one next step to our goal, and they play that
right,
way.
right.
Olmsted Falls was able to close the gap a little bit in that second quarter, but come after halftime, they were off and running and made it
Mm,
a point to say we want to get to a state final and leave here state championship. So that is White
yeah,
House Anthony Wayne again, 24-2. They're gonna have a tall task. Playing against an undefeated Winton Woods team. Not to shout out Cincinnati early, but this is one of three Cincinnati schools that's going to be down in Dayton for a state final. Winton
mm,
Woods obviously has a storied history. Chance Gray, who's a OSU Buckeye, went there a couple years ago. There, I believe, some seniors on that team who were freshmen when she was there, or something close either they
I
were the
think
eighth
so.
grader or
Yeah.
freshman on that team. So
Yeah.
they've been able to see what talent looks like and things like that. But this group has been able to go undefeated and get to a state final. Can you talk a little bit about Witten Woods and what they're building down there?
I mean, I know I've said this several times, but I am telling you, if there's a coach that I would just run through a wall for, it would be this coach right here.
Uh-huh.
It'd be Coach Gray,
Mm-hmm.
and he just has a way of firing up his kids, and and they come out and they produce. I love Denia Trammell.
Mm-hmm.
She's just had a phenomenal senior year, but she's just so dominant with the basketball and being able to shoot and rebound. You've got the Davis girls that
Mm-hmm.
again can do the same thing, and then Strawberry. I mean, I remember watching her. So she's a diaper dandy. I remember watching her. I think it was probably 3 years ago, and she was playing like a junior,
Mm-hmm.
senior in high school,
Right.
and I was like I remember looking at some I was like, who is that? I need to know who that is, like, right now." And they're like, "Oh, that's Strawberry."
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, "Okay, Strawberry." So, and I but she is just she's just beautiful to watch.
For sure.
Her moves in the lane,
Mm-hmm.
ability to shoot, handle the ball, and she thrives in these big game
Right,
situations. I
right.
mean, so,
And they had to get
uh
through a big one. I mean, playing Big Walnut, I believe that
right.
game went in overtime. So they've already had to get, battle tested and getting
Oh,
past
yeah.
who had a tremendous, obviously, Sydney Mobley's on that Big Walnut team, getting through them. And that's a testament, too, of coming into this.
Yeah.
Which team, you know, Anthony Wayne came out on a mission in their semifinals, and you had Winton Woods had to, like you said, the coach has to put you running through the wall, but they actually had to run through a wall to get here. So you have
Yeah.
these two teams that are like primed and ready to meet at this final, who both look like they can win a national championship, win a state championship.
Hey, it feels like it, though.
It feels like it. Like if
Now
there's
and that's a whole other conversation, but I really think my Yukon Huskies can do it. But that's okay.
we
That's a
gotta save
different
that.
that's
That can be our
we'll
last thing
save
we
that.
talk about. Yeah, we're gonna
We can
we're
save
gonna
that.
say
We
that.
can
Yeah,
save
yeah,
that.
yeah. Because that March Madness is coming too. But this
It's
game
coming.
against the White House Anthony Wayne, once again 24-2 on the season versus the undefeated team out of Cincinnati, Winton Woods. That state final will be the last game played on Friday, and that will take place at 7:30. So there's 3 games on Friday. Get ready
And
for
then
those. Some great games. We can see history. We can see again that Anthony Wayne and Winton Woods game, and then obviously Kettering Alter and Bellevue. Really
it's
good
gonna be
Friday. It's
it's
gonna
gonna
be a
be a
good
good
Friday.
it's gonna be a good
It's
Friday.
gonna be a
And
good
then it's gonna
Friday.
turn around the next day
Right.
when I have probably a large coffee that I'll be drinking on the way to Dayton,
To Dayton,
and
yeah.
then we're gonna have 4 games, and we're gonna go 5, 6, 7, 1.
That is exactly the order. So it's a quick turnaround to Saturday, March 15th. And once again, we're going to run through the teams based on the order that they're going to be played. So the first game on Saturday is Division 5 state final. That'll be Creston Norwayne, who are 25-3 on the season. They will face a one-loss 26-1 Portsmouth team. That state final will tip off at 10:45 a.m. Norwayne, obviously, a team that had to get through one of the most probably storied programs, not one of the most, probably the most storied program in the state of Ohio of probably the last 15 years, Afrocentric. So they were able to get past them in the semifinal, get to a state. But can you speak a little bit about Norwayne, and obviously got a big time player on their team?
Right, right, and they've got yeah. So Norwayne's got a few ballers that again, you've got at least I think 3 off the top of my head that are averaging double figures,
Mm-hmm.
and solid rebounders. You've got Hannah Froelich,
Mm-hmm.
she's averaging. I mean, she's a double machine. Again, someone I probably wouldn't want to. She's averaging just under 2 blocks a game, so I might take
Think
that
a
little
little
step
bit.
back.
Yep.
I might I might pause for a second if I'm going up against her there on that. And you've got Allie, DeMassimo, again, she's averaging, around 10 a game, but it's her steals and her assists, like all those little pieces just add up.
Mhm.
Ava,
Oh, Maybach,
Maybach, like she's tough,
tough. Had
tough.
28 points in that semifinal game.
Yes, yeah, and and then you've got several that are averaging 6, 7 points a game too, and man, every point, every possession counts
Right.
in these games. Every possession counts, and so, keep your eyes on, Grace Wolf and, Kendra Berger, and they're good, and they're here for a reason.
Right.
They know how to win. They know how
Right.
to win. Yeah.
And they will face off against a Portsmouth team once again, 21 and 26 and 1, only one loss on the season. Went
Mm,
down to OU to see them play. Obviously, they got to the state semifinals last year and took a loss against Fairland. Met them again in the semifinals this year and said,
yeah.
hey, we're going to rewrite the story. And
Mm,
defensively came out and was just on a tear almost the entire game. Um, but they have some players on that team. They had some intensity on that team that they're a force to be
yep.
reckoned with,
Yes, and while they can shoot the ball very, very well, um, I think their defense kinda can set them apart
for
in a lot
sure.
of ways too. The defensive pressure that they provide is, it could cause some nightmares for me.
It sure can. It absolutely can. It
Yeah,
absolutely
it might.
can.
But you've got Sienna Allen that's just having a great year.
Hmm.
I love Kiki Woods. I've always loved her defense. Her defense and
She's
her
so quick.
speed. It, yep.
Yep.
Like you better eat your
She's
Wheaties.
yeah, she's that player. Sometimes it looks like she's running quicker than a ball, but
Yep.
she causes she's you want to match your speed. Only she can play at that speed, and you
Right.
get yourself in some trouble when you try to rush. But she's that player that if she gets in the other team's head, it's going to be a long night.
Yep. And then I mean, Haven Carter,
Hmm.
Deja Reed, like they are just I mean, they're next level basketball players. And it's seeing like they just again their athleticism,
Hmm.
how they score the ball, how they control the tempo of the game. It's special.
Yeah,
So and they beat a very very good Fairland team.
they did. They did.
They really did,
Hmm.
and they came out strong.
Hmm.
So that says a lot.
On a
So
mission. It just looks like one they wanted some revenge against Maryland.
right,
It appeared that way
right,
when they played, but it looks like a team who actually wants. Not saying all of these teams want to do that, but it looks like a team that's ready and prepped and prepared to
yep.
capture a state title. So we will have Creston Norwayne 25 and 3 versus Portsmouth 26 and 1. Again, the first game on Saturday morning at the University of Dayton that will tip off at 10:45. Then we'll move down to Division 6. That will be the second game on Saturday. Rootstown 28 and 1. One thing I am noticing, a lot of these teams have one loss, two loss, three loss.
Mhm.
They're not taking a lot of losses this year, but
They're not
Rootstown
taking a lot of losses. No. But yeah,
28 and 1 and Columbus Grove 26 and 2. That game will tip off at 2 p.m. I'm sorry, what were you going to say, Angie?
this Rootstown, like this is just another you got a lot of ballers on this team
Hmm.
that can shoot, that can score,
Hmm.
and some solid rebounders. I mean, you've already got when I'm looking at what they're doing. You've got 3 kids shoot, I'm gonna just round up one because I know that 9.6 rounds up to 10. You've got 4 kids that are averaging,
A double double.
double figures in points, and that tells me a lot. Like, they share the ball.
Hmm.
Kinda reminds me of, like, a sorry to bring this up, but, like, South Carolina, you don't have somebody that's averaging,
20
22
points a
points a
game
game.
for sure.
You don't have that, but
Yeah.
it's very balanced, so it's like, "Oh, well, we have to guard everybody
Right.
because everybody can score. So that's what this Rootstown reminds me of. And then you've got several, you got another 3 or 4 players that are averaging, 6 points or so a game, but and they're doing other things. They're rebounding.
Right.
They're still like everybody on this team is knows how to pick pockets. Like that, so that tells me a lot too. Like I better take care of the basketball
Right.
because really anybody it has the potential of stealing
Taking
it.
it for sure.
Yeah, and
For
taking
sure.
advantage of that. So, but yeah, very talented team.
And they'll face off once again against Columbus Grove. What can you tell us about Columbus Grove?
Well, I knew you were getting ready to ask me that, and I was just about ready to pick that up. Okay. So, with this team again, I think it's going to be a pretty balanced matchup, I
For sure.
think. Because again, this Columbus Grove team, you've got again 4 players that are essentially they're in double figures in scoring. Again, you've got some solid rebounders. Man, yeah, I think this is gonna be a close game. I mean, when you look at the stats across, I'm like, "Mm, well, that will be a tight matchup. That will be
Right.
a tight," but I'm looking at, Nadia Lowe and, I Addie German, like, they're all oh, wait, no, wait a minute. Hold up. I was still on Roots. I meant Columbus Grove. I am so sorry. That's what happens, folks, when I've got, like, 7 screens that are going on all at the same time. But just a second here. I know I've got it. Wait a minute. Just a second. We're just gonna keep on talking because I
Yeah.
am looking
It's
I
but
promise
it's a lot of teams. So we
it's a
get
lot
it.
of teams. It's a lot of teams. Now I got it. Now I got it. And, folks, this is what happens. I just had a birthday. I just turned the big 4-9 yesterday. And so within
Oh,
these glasses,
happy birthday to
thanks,
Angie.
thanks,
Ah!
let's go. But hey, my bifocals in my glasses, like they just weren't quite reading that right. But hey, they really do have this team has got hey, they've got some scores on this team. You've got Lauren Lochmuty that is I think she's averaging around 24, 25 a game.
Okay. Hmm.
Again, you,
Yep.
she's coming to play.
Yep.
Like she's come to play like every game this year and has had obviously a phenomenal it, she is just a special player.
Right.
But they have got between her and Nicole Nesby, Aubrey Schroeder, I think it's still going to be a very close matchup with these two teams for sure.
For sure.
Yeah.
And once again, we have the Division 6 state final. Rootstown 28-1 versus Columbus Grove 26-2. A game will take place 2 p.m. on Saturday. We're still on Saturday. It's 4 games. We're running through the divisions. We got 2 left. This
Okay, we got two
division,
left.
2 left. We got
Okay.
Division 7. We get a rematch in a state final, which I am extraordinarily excited about because who wouldn't love a rematch against 2 formidable teams who faced off
Oh,
against each other last year will face off against each other once again this year, and that will be Waterford, who is 26-1 on the season, as what who will face off against Fort Lormy, who was last year's state champion. They'll have an opportunity to go back to back. They are 25-3. This game will tip off at 5:15 p.m. We got Waterford, we got Fort Lormy. We just got teams probably for the last few years. I don't want to put dates and time links on them, but these are 2 teams. If you look at state finals going back some few years, their names are just going to appear.
yep.
Waterford, we'll start with them, has a senior led group who were able to capture a state championship their freshman year. They could potentially leave with a state championship their senior year. So, what would Waterford have to do to flip the script for this state final?
If I'm thinking about last year, I know that Fort Loramie, like they just their defense was just really kind of taking over. Um and there just wasn't enough answers that Waterford was giving. So I would say the big key to this game is, again, you got to simmer down the turnovers. You
Mm-hmm.
got to take better care of the basketball and show some patience
Mm-hmm.
offensively. And again, this Waterford can certainly do that.
Mm-hmm.
I, you know, we talk a lot about Avery Wagner,
Mm-hmm.
who I like come up to like her belly button. Uh, I'll just never forget taking that picture with
Same.
her at Pick North. That was the best. But between her and Kendall Surrey
Mm-hmm.
and their leadership, but I'm telling you, if I'm really looking at this game, I think one of the biggest keys to this game is Avery Smithberger.
Mm-hmm.
I love that girl's game
Mm-hmm.
because she is a workhorse that does everything and anything to try and win a game.
For
I
sure.
mean, if you need some points, she's going to give that to you. If you need more like defensive, especially from, she's going to give you that.
Mm-hmm.
I think she holds a big key to this matchup.
For sure.
But yeah, it should be a great game.
For sure.
And Fort Loramie, let me pull them up. Oh,
Didn't I believe they
Avery Band.
started five seniors last year and graduated five seniors? They started five seniors and are back in the same place.
Yes, yes. And just again, a coach that knows how to get there. I like pretty much every year.
Right.
Kind of like UConn. Oh, sorry, that slipped. Kind of like how Larry Bird. Oh, wait a minute. Wait, let's see. So just kind of like how
That
like
is
Larry Bird like did
that
it
is
too.
some high. That's a high expectation there for Fort Loramie. That comparing them to UConn. Oh.
I'm
But if
just
there's
putting
a
that out there.
program that's so used to going back to back, I mean, Fort Loramie has the opportunity to do that.
Right. But I'll tell you, Avery Brandweed, just she's again a special talent. And again, this team is just, they've got speed, their defense. I mean, they are in your grill.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember that from last year.
Right.
They 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 really thrive and feed off of their defense.
Mm-hmm.
And from there, then it turns into offensive points. So, but yeah, very a special team, great program,
Mm-hmm.
and should be another excellent matchup.
Yes, this should be an excellent matchup. Again, we get a repeat of last year's Division Four state final where Fort Loramie was able to capture the title. We'll see if Waterford is able to flip the script once again. Waterford will take on Fort Loramie for the Division 7 state final at 5:15 p.m. So, real quick before we get to our last game, we'll have three new division champions because Division 5, Division 6, and Division 7 are new to the state of Ohio. So all of those
Right.
teams can lay claim to being the first in their division to capture a state championship in which they lie. So congratulations to whichever team wins, being able to carry that history with them. But as always, we end the day on Saturday. That is the date and time slotted for our Division 1 state final. That will tip off at 8:30 p.m. Our final game on Saturday at the University of Dayton Arena. Pickerington Central, 24-3, will face off against Cincinnati Princeton, 21-6. Again, I sound like a broken record during this whole team, but these are teams, if you go back the last few years, who have made it a staple to get to this point. Pickerington Central, this was their third trip to a state semifinal. They finally jumped over that hump. They get back to a state final game. Princeton in 2023 captured the Division I state title. So after a season break, they return back. So this should be an exciting matchup. Let's start off with the team centrally located for us, the Pickerington Central Lady Tigers.
Well, hey, you got to talk about a Wallace kid because there's always a Wallace kid. But this is the last Wallace kid, which I don't know what I'm going to do when she eventually does graduate, which she's only a junior. But you've got, I mean, again, this is a team that knows how to win. This is a team that it's been driven in their blood
Yes.
with how to get to this.
Yes.
And I can't not mention, the one of the goats of Dave Butcher, who I went up against. Like, I mean, it has been years and
For
years
sure.
where they just know how to win. But Blossom Wallace is just, she is just a insane defensively,
Hmm.
but strong offensively as well. London Johnson's just had a great year. She
Uh-huh.
is just, I'll tell you, she's got an inside outside game, but I'll tell you, man, she could even just stay on the block all game and
Oh,
just
for
do
sure.
damage. She really could. Zoe Coleman,
Hmm.
special sophomore, already with D1 offers, and she's just so smooth.
Yeah.
She just so smooth with basketball. Kenny Gordon, I have
They're
loved
senior.
her. I Yep, senior that's going to D1. Wait a minute, I'm going to think of it.
Hmm.
Long Island University. But again, she's played solid this year.
Yeah.
Has come up in uh, big games and
It had to
yeah.
come up really big. I mean, that state semifinal game, it was, I called it, I wanted to text you during the game. That first half was like a defensive, uh, I don't know what a defensive slug match. It was like, who is going
Mm,
to, because Pickerington couldn't buy a basket and Magnificat, they were just off and running, and you had a player
mm.
out there look like prime Courtney Vandersloot.
Oh
Um,
gosh.
and I wish I gotta find her name. Now I'm being like you, but I have to find her to shout her out.
I get
Um,
it. No, I get it. But yeah,
who had a
I
really
just
good game? But I was saying, was gonna say in that game after halftime, Pickerington needed to step up at some point, and either if their offense wasn't clicking, which it wasn't, their defense had to step up, and they allowed Magnificat to only score 1 point in that third quarter. That's how much the defensive pressure and intensity jumped. And you mentioned Kennedy Gordon. She was a couple of those layups throughout the game. It weren't missing them, but she made the one she needed to make at the
yep,
very end to
yep.
tie the game to send it into overtime. And just the composure of that team, of what they were able to do. But I'm gonna let you continue on about Pickerington Central, but I just had to shout out that game because
Yeah,
they had to battle. They had to really
yeah,
battle.
yep. But yeah,
Sophia Wilson
their defense just
from Magnificat, she looked like
it just
prime Vandersloot. Sorry.
yes, yeah, yeah, yeah. But I'll tell you that Pickerington's defense, I don't know. I still have nightmares over some of the defensive plays that I faced back in the '90s. It's just it's it feels like there's 6 or 7 players that are out on the court
For
because of
sure.
their length and just, um, again, like they can just run, and then he can rotate subs in
Yep.
and keep fresh legs, and that makes them difficult,
Yep.
and they can all handle the ball well. Like, when you can do those pieces and parts, with numerous players,
Hmm.
yeah, it's
And
hard to stop.
they've had to have some players step up too, because they lost their starting point guard, which is
Yeah,
difficult for any team to overcome. But they've had players step up and be ready to assume that responsibility, and then they find other ways to win. Just because they're
yeah.
centrally located, we can talk a little bit more thoroughly about Pickett Central, but we cannot forget that third
Oof.
team out of Cincinnati, who a mainstay at any state championship. Cincinnati is going to represent. Coach Davis has Princeton once again in a state final. A little bit about that Cincinnati Princeton team.
Well, I'll tell you, Coach Davis is like, she'll have them ready. Like, she's going to have this team ready. And oh, Mari Girton, I've joked about this before. She's so fast.
Mhm.
It's like, I know I could probably use a more updated version with my camera. It's a pretty decent camera. It's a nice Canon, but like, my camera cannot take that. Like, she is like a hummingbird. Like, that's
You need
like
a
all
faster
over the
shutter
place.
speed.
Yeah. She is just, I'll tell you, like, Florida State has
Mhm.
got a gym
Mhm.
coming to them.
Mhm.
But she's just, how she gets to the free throw line
For
and
sure.
connects. She literally hangs in the air what feels like 4 or 5 seconds. She is just special. I love her game. One of my favorite point guards.
Hmm.
But yeah, this team is tough too. I mean, you've got Callie Fortston, you've got you got your bigs, you got your quick guards. I think it could be a really good matchup. I do.
And
Don't ask me who I think will win. Don't do that. You haven't done that for any of these, and that's
right,
okay.
we
I'm I'm good with that.
yeah, I haven't. I chickened out on asking because we want to we want to make it smooth when we come down to date and nobody give us dirty looks because
Yeah.
we
I
did that on the
wanted
semifinals. I think it was okay. I think for the state final
yeah.
one, we'll do that for the pre-shows that'll happen down there. We'll pick a winner. But for
Okay.
this, we'll keep it in our pocket. But yeah, that Princeton team is just they took some losses early on in the season, but they have not lost since January 8th, and that was a
Mm,
loss against their crosstime rival in Mason. And it was like right after that loss, the team has just been on a tear. And you
yeah.
talk about
Talk about gelling at the
piecing it
right
together at
time.
the right time.
Yep.
Like
Yep.
it's so
Well,
cliche, but it's absolutely true. And
right.
to be able to run into a state final with that kind of momentum, again, I think we're gonna get it's 7 games, but we're
It's
gonna
going to
get
be
some
okay.
tremendous matchups between
Yes.
all of these teams, and to end the night with Pickerington Central and Cincinnati Princeton, I think we'll be in for a huge treat watching these two teams face off.
Absolutely. I think it's going to be good, and yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah,
So yeah.
for sure.
Yep.
Once again, that Division One state final against Pickerington Central versus Cincinnati Princeton will take place at 8:30 on Saturday. So 2 days, 7 state finals, 3 on Friday, 4 on Saturday. Angie and I will be on site for most of them, if not all of them. So follow us along on Angie's social media platforms at Angie Sater. Follow us on Girls Only Sports. We'll keep you updated as best as we can with. We'll try to give you some, cool insights, at least with the score and some of the players and coaches, see what we're able to get. But before we get out of here, well, let me say this. Congratulations to all the teams for making it, the coaches, the players. Safe travels to all of the fans traveling down to Dayton to enjoy their girls compete for a state championship. It is a huge thing. It's a something you can talk about for the rest of your life. I mean, it's a huge accomplishment, and I hope all those girls and their families and their communities know how excited, even as media folks, we are seeing them go
Oh,
down and compete and get highlighted and spotlighted. No matter if you win or lose, it's just a massive accomplishment getting to a state championship. So congratulations to all 14 teams.
mm.
And we hope to see some really good games. But before we get out of here, because Angie, once we're saving our state final predictions for the girls' state championships in Ohio, but we're not gonna
But
let you off the hook for the national championships in women's college basketball. We know
shoot.
you're a UConn stan, and
I
you think
can't help
UConn
it,
can
man.
pull it off. Um,
I I
but
think
this
they
year,
are.
if we think about it though, Angie, there's like 8 teams that can realistically run off a title, which probably hasn't been the case before.
It really hasn't. I don't think to this level.
I
I
mean,
mean, because you can think of like UCLA, USC,
South Carolina,
South Carolina,
Texas,
Texas, North
UConn,
Car, UConn, North Carolina looks tough. Duke, Duke
Duke,
looks good. They look so good.
Duke.
Um,
Notre Dame has run. They have some unnecessary losses, in my opinion,
I
but two players I wouldn't want to see in the tournament in Olivia
I
Miles and
can't
Hannah
I
Hidalgo.
can't
But you
I can't
can't say
say
that because you're you.
I can't I can't say
I'm telling you, you
that
don't want to
that
see
team's
Notre
name,
Dame in the.
because I really do, like, I start to foam at the mouth, and I so it's that team in Indiana,
so
I'm not talking I'm not talking
so
about
tell me how
Indiana
you really
State
felt.
or Indiana.
I had tell me how you really feel when Enrique hit that buzzer beater.
I I cried, man. I cried like a baby. Girl, it was bad. I was in like nosebleed section. I'll never forget being able to get tickets to go to that game, and my
Same.
family came with me to
Mhm.
it. Um and they actually, not all of them are like hardcore basketball fans like
Mhm.
me. I guess I would call myself next level. I probably take it too seriously. I mean, if I'm bawling my eyes out up in the it hurt. I believe that there's a portion of my heart that still has not healed from that shot. Am I bitter about it? Yes, I
Yeah.
am.
Yeah. But I mean,
But hey, now do I still love KK? I absolutely do. I love her. I love that
right.
girl. I do. There's kids on that team that are just like, I mean, I do.
For sure.
They're special.
Yeah.
But man, I don't want to see I do not want UConn to see that
Yeah.
team
No.
from Indiana.
No,
I
no,
can't.
no.
My
No, no,
heart
no.
can't take it again.
Yeah.
So,
I wish we're gonna have to do I know Kayla and I on the playbook we're gonna do a preview show. We gotta have you on for that too. You gotta show up for that too. It depends on how all the brackets and the seating. I haven't, we've been so focused on high school, I haven't had a chance to look at it, but it's just gonna be crazy with all the different teams who have
mm,
the. I mean, even looking at the SEC, you got the number one team in the country in Texas playing against South Carolina, who was like number 4 or something crazy.
yeah,
And then take a big loss. And it's just like, and then we see UConn go into South Carolina and blow them out. And then, you know, USC gets the 2 wins against UCLA only to get beat in the Big Ten championship. And we see Duke win the ACs. I'm like,
oh, it
what is
was just
happening?
it was wild, but I mean, I really do think it can be, and it's really no different even with the games that we're going to see this weekend.
For
Like,
sure.
when a team is hot and they're clicking,
For sure.
and then you throw in the defensive pressure and stuff, like, who knows?
Yeah,
I mean, and we've seen, like, just in college basketball too, like, different shots that have gone in and out of the rim. Like,
for
I mean,
sure.
it's hit every part of the rim and it still didn't go in.
Right.
And some of it too, I'll never forget my high school coach saying, like, when you get this far, whether it's college, high school, or whatever, it takes a little bit of luck.
Yeah,
It does take a little bit of luck. So
you're
I
absolutely
would
right.
never in my mouth would ever say the luck of the I
Oh, they were lucky that
ugh,
Final Four. Yeah,
I can't
only one person can walk away hitting 2 buzzer beaters. But it
yeah,
it's I like how you put that. It's gonna take that. I mean, like you said, from high school to collegiately, which team is able to piece it together, which team is gonna get on the run. But the connection between the two is just the parity all around the board. Even though you look and you see, yeah, 11, I believe 11 of the 16 state semifinalists in Ohio made it back, but that just means that's just the level of talent. You have so many good
yeah,
teams, so many great players, going to different programs, and then ultimately meeting at the state championship level, where you get to see them compete against each other, only for that to
right.
grow once they get to play basketball collegiately. We see that as well, where all these great players are on all these different teams, and then we get to see them compete against each other for state champion or national championship.
Yep.
So it's going to be. We got a good March as girls and women's basketball fans. We have a good basketball March, and then right after that, I believe the WNBA starts. So we are in for a treat.
We'll be just
We're
fine.
gonna be just fine.
Just
Well,
fine.
thank you as always, Angie Sater. Please follow her everywhere. Prep Girls Hoop. She is one of the most knowledgeable people for Ohio girls basketball and everything UConn. She is that. So follow her for there. Follow her for everything you want to know about the state of Ohio and girls basketball. Follow us as well, Girls Only Sports, our Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, Girls Only Sports. Once again, I am Candace Allen. Thank you. And once again, congratulations to all the team. Good luck, and we will see you this weekend.